There is a specific moment, and not a day, not a week, not a slow, gradual process, but a single psychological moment when a woman stops seeing a man as just a friend. Something shifts, something clicks, and after that moment, she cannot unsee it. The problem is most men never trigger that moment. Not because they're unattractive, not because the connection isn't there, but because they don't understand what actually causes the switch to flip. It isn't grand gestures. It isn't telling her how you feel. It isn't being nicer, more available, or more patient. Psychology reveals it's something far more specific and far more surprising. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what triggers that switch, what kills it before it ever happens, and the one behavior that almost always causes a woman to look at a man she's known for years completely differently. Stay until the end, because the final point explains why some men get friend-zoned forever, while others escape it without saying a single word about their feelings. Psychologists who study attachment and attraction have identified what they call the reclassification moment, the point at which a person reorganizes how they categorize someone in their social world. In male-female dynamics, this is the moment a woman mentally moves a man from the friend category into something she doesn't quite have a word for yet. Something that makes her nervous. Something that makes her suddenly aware of how close he's sitting. This reclassification doesn't happen randomly. It's triggered. And once you understand the triggers, you stop leaving this moment to chance. Here are the 8 psychological triggers that cause the exact switch. Trigger number 1, he stops being predictable. The friend zone is, at its core, a predictability problem. When a woman can predict exactly how a man will respond to her, how available he'll be, how agreeable, how eager, her brain categorizes him as safe, comfortable, familiar. And familiar does not produce desire. Desire requires a degree of uncertainty. Neuroscience research shows that dopamine, the brain chemical most directly linked to attraction and craving, is released not by certainty, but by unpredictability. The same mechanism that makes variable rewards addictive is what makes a man suddenly interesting to a woman who never saw him that way before. So what does this look like in practice? He declines plans without over-explaining. He has an opinion she didn't expect. He responds differently than he always has. He's no longer guaranteed. She doesn't consciously think he's unpredictable now. She just notices that she's thinking about him after the conversation ends, and she can't quite explain why. That confusion is the beginning of the switch. Trigger number 2. She sees him through someone else's eyes. This one surprises almost everyone. A woman who has known a man for months, even years, can suddenly see him completely differently the moment she watches another woman respond to him. Maybe another woman laughs at something he says. Maybe a stranger approaches him. Maybe she overhears a woman describing him as attractive. Psychologists call this mate copying, a documented phenomenon where a person's perceived desirability increases significantly when others display attraction toward them. From an evolutionary standpoint, it makes sense. If other women want him, he must have something worth wanting. Her brain begins to reevaluate information it had already filed away. Suddenly, she's remembering things he said differently, looking at his hands, noticing his voice. He didn't change. Her frame changed, and now she can't put the old frame back. This is why men who have female friends around them, not as trophies but as genuine social proof, are often suddenly discovered by women who had known them for a long time. Trigger number 3. He doesn't react the way she expected. She says something designed to get a specific reaction. Maybe she mentions another man. Maybe she tests his emotional response. Maybe she's a little cold to see if he chases. And he doesn't react the way she expected. He's not hurt. He's not competitive. He's not suddenly more eager. He just continues, steady, unbothered. That unexpected response creates what psychologists call a cognitive disruption. A small internal shock that forces her brain to update its model of who this person is. The friend she thought she understood just revealed a depth she hadn't accounted for. And the brain, when faced with new information about someone familiar, becomes newly curious about them. This is why the man who stops reacting, who holds his frame quietly while she tests and prods, suddenly becomes interesting to a woman who had him figured out. She didn't lose interest in her old idea of him. She just met a version of him she hadn't seen before. And that new version? It doesn't fit in the friend category anymore. Trigger number 4. He becomes unavailable without explanation. He pulls back slightly. Not dramatically. He's not punishing her. He's not playing games. He's simply a little less available than before. and something shifts in her. Attachment research consistently shows that perceived availability directly affects attraction levels. When someone is always there, always responsive, always present, always eager, the brain treats their attention as a baseline. It doesn't register as a reward. It simply exists. But when that availability decreases even slightly, suddenly their attention becomes valuable again. She notices the slight gap. She fills it with thought. She checks her phone more than she means to. She brings him up in conversation without a clear reason. The man didn't say anything dramatic. He didn't confess feelings. He simply created a space, and her mind rushed to fill it with him. This is not about manipulation. It is about understanding that a man who is genuinely living a full life, with purpose, with other priorities, with self-respect, naturally creates this effect without trying. The switch doesn't flip because he withdrew strategically. It flips because he stopped making her the center of his availability. Trigger number 5. She catches him not watching her. This one is subtle, and it is powerful. She's used to men watching her, tracking her, orienting toward her when she enters a room. And then she notices he isn't. He's engaged elsewhere, genuinely. He's in a conversation focused on something, laughing with someone, and he's not checking to see if she noticed. He's not performing for her. Paradoxically, this is often the moment she starts watching him. Psychology research on attention and attraction shows that people assign higher value to attention that is not automatically given. When a man's focus must be earned rather than assumed, women begin actively seeking it. She starts doing things to get his attention, things she never had to think about before because his attention was always guaranteed. She adjusts her posture when he's nearby. She directs a comment toward him. She finds a reason to be in his line of sight. He hasn't moved. She has. And she is now the one pursuing the attention. That role reversal, however small, is the beginning of attraction rewiring itself. Trigger number 6. He shows competence in a new way. She's seen him in one context. Maybe he's her coworker, her classmate, her friend from the group. She has a fixed image of who he is, and then she sees him do something she didn't expect. He handles a difficult situation with unusual calm. He knows something deeply that she didn't know he knew. He leads a room, or fixes something, or speaks in a way that reveals a dimension of him she hadn't accessed. Evolutionary psychologists call this competence attraction. The documented phenomenon where demonstrated ability in any domain triggers a reevaluation of a person's attractiveness. It doesn't matter what the domain is. It could be professional, physical, creative, intellectual, social. What matters is that she witnesses him operating at a level she hadn't yet seen. Her brain files that information not under friend, under something new, something that creates a physical response before she has time to intellectualize it. The switch can flip in under 10 seconds. All it takes is one moment of genuine competence she wasn't prepared for. Trigger number 7. He is comfortable in his own silence. Most men, when nervous around a woman, fill silence. They talk more, they explain more, they add jokes to soften the air. They cannot let a quiet moment exist without filling it. A man who can sit in silence, genuinely comfortable, not sulking, not withholding, just at ease, communicates something profound without a single word. He communicates that he does not need her to manage his emotional comfort. That is one of the most attractive things a man can demonstrate. Because most women have spent enormous energy managing the emotional comfort of the men around them, keeping conversations alive, keeping moods regulated, keeping the atmosphere safe. A man who doesn't require that from her is often for the first time someone she can actually rest around. And rest, in the presence of a man she respects, can quietly become something more. Attraction doesn't always begin with excitement. Sometimes it begins with a woman realizing, I feel completely at ease with him, and I've never felt that before. Trigger number 8. He treats her like a woman, not a friend. Here is the switch itself. The final, most important trigger, and the one that almost every man in the friend zone is missing. He has been treating her like a friend, responding to her like a friend, existing around her like a friend. And then, something changes in how he holds himself around her. Not in what he says, in the energy behind it. He stops editing his masculine presence to make her comfortable. He stops pretending the tension between them doesn't exist. He stops relating to her as though she is one of the guys. He begins relating to her as a woman. with the quiet, unhurried awareness that he is a man and she is a woman, and that difference is something he is completely at ease with. This is called polarity, the energetic distinction between masculine and feminine presence. And it is, in clinical attraction research, one of the most powerful generators of desire. You cannot friendzone a man who never related to you as a friend to begin with, who always held a subtle but unmistakable awareness of who he is and who you are and what that means. This is not about being sexual too early. It is about refusing to pretend that the charge between you doesn't exist. It's about being present as a man, not as a companion, not as an emotional support system, not as a safe option, but as someone whose masculine presence she can actually feel. The moment he stops collapsing that energy to be safe, the moment he lets himself simply be, fully in front of her, that is when she stops seeing him as just a friend. Not because he changed, because she finally saw who he actually was. The friend zone is not a life sentence. It is a misunderstanding, a case of a man showing up as less than he is, more available, more agreeable, more carefully contained, because he thought that's what she needed from him. She didn't need that. She needed to see him. The switch doesn't flip because you say the right words. It flips because you stop hiding the parts of yourself that make you a man she cannot categorize as safe, predictable, and easy to ignore. Stop being easy to ignore. Show up fully. Hold your frame. Let her be uncertain about where she stands with you, not because you're playing games, but because you're genuinely living a life that doesn't pause for her approval. The moment she has to wonder about you is the moment she's already thinking about you differently. And that moment, that exact switch, begins with you. If this landed, subscribe. We go deeper into the psychology of attraction every week in a way that actually makes sense. And watch this next. The signs she's already made the switch and is waiting for you to notice.